This, you know how some people you just like in the comedy scene?
Yeah.
I really like this guy. Okay. Please introduce yourself.
I am Sean Boyles, musician, comedian, hair farmer.
There you go.
I had a joke about Corday, but he's not here. I was going to say Corday's here, but his neck isn't. That's what I was going to say, but I get it. I look like Sons of Anarchy joined a reggae band. I get it. I understand. I look like if Tom Hanks never got off of that island. I learned today that he's got kids. I had no idea he's got kids. I had no clue. That's his daughter right there, dude. That's his daughter. I had no idea he had kids. He doesn't talk about them. He's not proud of them. I'm sorry. He's never mentioned you once. I'd be like, oh, my beautiful daughter. Well, I'd be going on. No, he doesn't talk about you at all. He's a shitty dad. And no matter what music you're playing, if there's no soul there. I remember talking to a guy once, hey, you dig this band? He's like, nah, I don't hear any pain. Wow. Like, oh, wow, you don't hear, okay.
We need to up our game and shit. We need to do comedy butt naked, right?
Blew his eye socket off and his eyeball fell out.
White women keep kidnapping us. Y'all seen The Blind Side?
Aren't you glad we have that disclaimer at the beginning of the episode?
It's going to come in handy for this episode.
This week's episode is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Mention the Voice Party and get $200 off your first graphic rap or color change. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
So my amazing Sean Boyle story goes like this. Sean had booked me on a show in Hayward. The Bistro was usually the show he always did, right? And it was funny because I get to the show, like I was supposed to go, I think I was going up first because I had a show to go to afterwards. And he introduced me, cool turnout. And, but the show was during Warrior season. And I think it was a playoff game. And a few people there, not a few, everybody there was for the show, most of them, except for 3 dudes. And we're at the show, and then they're upset that we turned off the TVs for the Warriors game, right? And so they're getting mad, and then they're just like, man, this is stupid as hell. So after Sean gets up, he introduces me, but he's like trying to tell people like, hey, yo, calm down, let's be respectful. The comics are respectful, people going up. These dudes decide to turn up the volume on their phone for the Warriors game. And I'm getting mad, but I'm not trying to say anything. And then Sean's getting mad. He got even madder than me. And then Sean goes to him, hey man, hey, we're respectful of the comic stuff, like people you gonna see. Turn your phone down. He's like, man, whatever, man. I could do whatever I want. I'm a paying customer. It's like, no, you can't, dude. This is my show. This is my show. You can't do whatever. He's like, yes, I can. He's like, and then the dude looks at him because like Sean's like 5'6" or stuff like that. And then the dude looked, he was like, man, who are you, dude? You are not that guy. You are not that guy. Then he tries to stand up, and then because the dude, like I think was like 5'10", 5'11", and then he's like, I know the owner here. I paid money. I can do whatever I want. It's like, no, you can't. Not doing my show. And so they keep like trying to belliger Sean. I'm trying to be like peacemaker, but at the same time I'm getting mad because I know this type of like dude, this type of attitude. It's only dudes who do this with people who are shorter than him. So he's yelling at Sean, you're not that dude. You're not that dude, right? And then I yell out to him all of a sudden, I am? I'm that dude, right? He looks at me and he like acts like he didn't even hear me say anything. He turns back to Sean, you're not that guy. You're not that guy. And I'm like going back and forth in a whirl of emotions of let's try to de-escalate the situation, but also like if push comes to shove, me and Sean will fight these dudes. Come to find out, they're firefighters, which made it even worse. Like we have some drunk firefighters trying to fight somebody at a comedy show because they want to watch the damn Warriors game, and because they decided that they paid and bought beers at this comedy show that they can act however the fuck they want to. And it was funny as hell, but it was also hella friction. And then eventually we got the guys up out of there. We called the police, and after that I just knew anytime if I was about to get into a fight or any situation was gonna go down, the person I always wanted in my corner next to me rolling into this bad situation, it was Sean Boyles, because that man will stand up for you no matter who it is, how tall, how big they are. So just love you, Sean. Miss you. And just miss you, man. The great time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Voice Party Podcast. This is a very special episode we got today. Not a typical episode that we do, is a little bit different. I'm sitting here with my co-host,
Chris Posadas.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, baby.
And we're sitting over there on that side. You got the camera angle. Camera's right there. Introduce yourself.
Sarah Giambruno.
Giambruno. I like
Yes.
that. I didn't want to butcher it. So thank you for...
I didn't know what to do with my I always want to say it with my hands.
Do it again.
Giambruno.
Like, and sir, introduce yourself.
Eric Summers.
Eric Summers. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate you both coming out here last minute. This means a lot. We got Phil with his fucking Forrest Gump pad. What's up, Phil?
I'm making podcasts great again.
Yeah.
Oh my God. One of my favorite people of all time, longtime friend. What's up, Mean Dave?
Hi, JD. And Chris and Sarah and Eric. And why do I always forget your...
He even just
Phil.
said it.
Oh no.
Thank you. I love that. Thanks for. I can read lips. Right on.
Hashtag
No problem.
Yeah.
Happy to have you.
I just know you as producer. That's what
This is your third time on the show.
second time visually on the show.
True. You're OG in the Voice.
Yeah. There's the phone interview.
Oh, that was weird.
That was fun. It was good to talk to everybody, but we didn't need to record it.
That was in the middle of the pandemic, when we were deep in the pandemic, and we were doing this. We're doing this not on Zoom, just straight up phone call.
Phone call. Recorded phone call.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out, man. And we talked about doing this recently. I'm happy to see you guys. At the memorial, you did great hosting.
What memorial? I don't know if anybody knows unless they read a title for what this show is. Why are all of us here and none of your co-hosts except for Chris? I see pictures on the vinyl signs. That might be a sign.
That might be Axl Rose.
There might be something.
Yeah.
And this isn't me in these pictures. Contrary to what anybody who started comedy from 2016 on.
Yes.
Our good homie Sean Boyles recently passed.
Yes.
Unexpectedly. We had him on the show. He was a great guest to have on. He reached out to me all the time when he said he liked the show. We gave him a shout out once, and I never thought he would, I'm sorry, I'm getting carried away, but this is in memory of our good friend Sean Boyles.
Damn fucking Skippy. Yeah, Sean Boyles, rest in peace. Died October 17th, 2023, which isn't that the day of the great earthquake, too?
Oh, yeah.
From Loma Prieta.
I was like 1907? 1906?
1989. 89. I was in junior.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
Okay, great.
Sean passed. He contrary to what, first off, when I found out about it, and other people did, because as always, most people found out through the avalanche of Facebook posts. I had somebody hit me up who I know who was a comedy audience member at a show, and I became friends with him because he knew Sean, and he ended up messaging me, "Hey, call me," gave me his number. Call me as soon as you can. And I didn't know why. It would be. I thought it was something maybe recovery related, because people tend to hit me up randomly when it comes to stuff dealing with recovery or drugs or alcohol or emergencies or something. So I'm like, and I was house sitting at my parents' house and had a friend over there. And I was like, is this an emergency? And he said, you'd want to hit me up as soon as possible. And then I called him, and he says, I don't know how to tell you this, man, but Sean Boyles is dead. And I was talking to him the night before, because he had guest hosted my show at Vinny's Bar and Grill in Concord that night. So I was texting with him right up until like 10 o'clock the night before. And the guy, I appreciate what the guy said, he said, I just didn't want you to have to read it on Facebook. And I'll be perfectly honest. I always am like, I kind of wish I read it on Facebook. Not because of anything against the dude, but it's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, you could have messaged me. I'm not that. I'm like, either way, this all sounds terrible, but it's like I handle shock pretty well. And I was shocked. And it's now setting in that he's gone. His funeral will be this week. I don't know when this will be released, but he passed on October 17th, and people thought it might have been from a heart attack. That was the initial thought. I was just grateful to find out that it wasn't like anything terrible. Like every time you hear about somebody passing right away and they're, single or whatever, it's like, please let it not be something that you did at your own hand, okay? Yeah. And that was my main concern. And again, I looked at his Facebook page, and I'm like, he posted promoting shit this morning. I don't think he killed himself. Yeah. So that was my first relief. And then we found people assumed that it might have been heart trouble because he had high blood pressure, and his sister was saying that he wasn't taking medication because he wasn't on insurance. Just that kind of stuff. And but then we found out that he actually had a very unique condition. I don't know the specific name of it, but they posted about it because the doctors, they did, I don't know if exactly what they did was an autopsy, but it was something similar where they found what the cause of death was. He had his entire life blood vessels entangled in his brain stem or something, going to his brain. And this condition is not, you can't fix it. It's irreversible. So at any point they can bust and you can just drop dead from it.
And that's what it ended up being.
That's what it was.
Like a thing that even if they found it,
he would have just had to live with the knowledge of that it could go at any time.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow. Somebody pointed out, it's like it makes you really appreciate how much time we had with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it gave us a lot of relief that it was something that didn't feel like it was preventable. Right, it was in that sense. But it's funny because it's like, and I knew the initial response was going to be, this is me being, I already was like, oh fuck, everybody's gonna hit me up asking me about and Sean would be dying laughing at that because he knows how much, like, there's people that I hit up when it comes to like certain things or whatever, but I'm really, it's weird, I don't really have a problem handling these kinds of things. I've dealt with it a lot growing up. Yeah. And so the shock of it, it's also not, 49 is young to die, but we're getting up there. Yeah. And it's
not like dying at 20 or.
Yeah, we're starting to get into the beach at Normandy years where people are going to start dropping like flies left and right.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I thought we still
you
had.
guys ready for that?
Yeah. You're still in the prime.
Depressing.
You're in the prime. You're in the prime.
I've been terrified, depressed, and bored all in the last 5 minutes of this is amazing. I didn't know.
So that's why we brought Sarah here.
Shit, man, you got to have range,
Yeah.
How did you guys meet? You want to talk about how you guys met Sean?
Oh, sure. We met at the Pepper Tree open mic.
Oh wow.
Pepper Tree Lounge.
Union City,
right?
Yeah, in Union City. In 2016, we both started around the same time, same year, I think. And I remember both of us talked about bowel movements and buttholes more than anybody else when I saw him, and that's kind of what brought us together, I guess. Terrible to say, but also we would make people laugh just as much as we would make them groan.
Right. Yeah.
And then both of us, we had this moment where we were talking and we're like, I don't know if I'm doing it for the laughs or if I'm doing it for the groans at this point, but we're definitely talking about it. But Sean was a great guy because he was not creepy. Very important.
That's a big plus
very
at
important.
the Pepper Tree Lounge open mic.
Yeah. And I was like 25, 24, 25. And I was doing all these open mics and getting fucking blasted, because free beers and, oh my God, you're funny, free drinks. And then I was just like, if Sean is here, I probably am going to make it out of here alive tonight. So I'll be okay. And that was always a nice comfort,
It is a creepy scene for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
Eric's
let's
there.
be
Like,
honest. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if there's like me and Sean. I don't know. I hope I don't give off a creepy vibe, but what are you gonna do?
No. What are you going to do about
Is that where you met Sean also?
You know, it's funny because I don't remember the specific place, but it was definitely butthole material 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
But the thing about it, I don't really go for that kind of material, but Sean could make it charming, which is bizarre. I will tell you that the very first headlining gig that I got here, where I got to bring my own feature and opener, I brought Sean and Sarah with me to Folsom, which turned out to be one of the weirdest shows. It turned out the booker was going through a personal crisis. He didn't show up. So we had to build our own stage, and it still went great.
No mic, right? You had no mic too.
I don't know. We had
you went
literally
acapella.
a milk crate stage, and the bartender rolled with it. He's like, "Well,
Jesus Christ!"
You know,
Hey, we still got free food.
we got free food. We got paid.
And paid.
Yep.
So it was a win, you know.
It was a lot of fun. I don't know what to tell you.
There were just a lot of weird times with Sean Boyles, but you could always count on him to say something horribly offensive about it, but make it charming. I feel like I'm Tyra Banks
I wouldn't even
right
say
now.
it's horribly offensive or funny that he would just be. I don't know, because I never think of him as being so much offensive.
Yeah.
Maybe inappropriate.
Inappropriate,
but not because he's not an edgelord of sorts.
No.
It was you said exactly what I posted a comment when they were looking for like kind of memorial things that a friend, Jimmy Arseneau, I don't know how to pronounce his last name really, but Jimmy, who is like a big music head over all of the Bay Area, he used to book all of the major music clubs throughout the Bay Area, the Stone, the Omni, and One Step Beyond. And these are music clubs that Sean and I are roughly about the same age. He's 2 years older than me, but we grew up in the thrash metal scene of the Bay Area, and we used to go to those shows as kids. Not together. I didn't meet Sean until much later, but we had the same kind of, almost the same trajectory. He just deviated in the 90s for nu metal, and I abhor nu metal.
Your only beef with Sean Boyle.
Well, we have a couple differences of opinion, but that's the main one. But it was, I love him. I love the guy in spite of his nu metal past. But the thing is, Jimmy asked for people to comment or to comment, like write a paragraph if a funny memory or whatever. And the thing that Eric just said was what I realized. I said, Sean was a very funny person. His material was awful. and his gift as a comedian was that he made awful material work. He could make it work.
He had fun with it. Yeah.
Well, not just he had fun. No, that was his expression. He put energy, charisma into his performance. And for good or for ill, I loved when it worked. I laughed my ass off when it didn't. But he also wrote one really good joke that I'm serious. No, and I complimented it because it's nothing like any of his other jokes, and it's the one about the spelling of numbers.
Oh yeah,
and how it doesn't make any sense. The phonetics, the phonics of numbers, and here he is, and he would always cop out that like, well, I'm a child of the Hayward Unified School District. I don't know anything, and yet he put so much time and energy into this one joke that is the intersection of language and numbers, and it's a George Carlin-esque bit. Really.
Right,
And the funniest part to me was that it worked half of the time as his butthole material. And I'm like, I think part of it is because you set everybody up with butthole, and then you hit them with this smarty pants shit, and they're just like, I don't know if I buy this. And so I loved seeing it work and whatever, but he's that's part of who he was. And
he was great. Like we had him on here like the 2 times we had him. We were planning on having him back. We talked about it.
Are you still going to try to have him back in the Ashes form or something?
It's going to be a little harder now.
Just going to need a
location at the Holy Sepulchre Cemetery.
No, he was hilarious every time we had him on here.
I watched the episodes. I don't know if they were hilarious, but they were enjoyable. No, they were enjoyable. I enjoyed. They were fun
he had
to me.
Great stories to tell.
Oh, he had great stories.
We would have a lot of laughs. We made each other laugh a lot on this. I also didn't want I know like he made that clip. He put together that clip because we also had him on our that other thing we did.
We did the roast of you.
And he just roasted himself.
He roasted himself. He said some things about you too.
He did. But he
Like wasn't the biggest joke was that we didn't know you had any kids?
Yeah.
That's right. And they were like, and he was just roasting how you were a terrible dad because we didn't know, like obviously you're.
And I don't have kids. I just told him.
Wait. I was like, you just lied to me, bro.
He felt horrible because there was his stepdaughter that looks like she was my daughter.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, Sean, this is my daughter." He's like, "You have a daughter?" Yeah, I didn't tell you. Then I forgot to tell him I was just fucking with him. So then the whole time he's like, "You're a horrible dad."
Oh, so it was a joke.
It was a joke.
Oh, so you don't have kids?
No, I don't.
Oh wow, man, that worked because I believed it.
And then he said,
Look at this. This is wrestling. This is all
right.
wrestling. You guys are breaking kayfabe for me. Thank you.
He said, "I feel like such an idiot that you don't have kids." Like, I mean, hey, you already.
Who, Sean said that?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad he did, man. No, at least he admitted it too. Because the thing about Sean that was so awesome. I met him in 2016 at Woodham's Lounge, which is pretty much like meeting him at Pepper Tree, or you meet him I met him at I was guest hosting it. I see this guy walk in who I feel like, wow, that's like me in 10 years, and with dreadlocks. Like, why do you have dreadlocks? But he's got patches on his clothes, and he had one band patch or maybe two, because I know Neurosis and Godflesh. You see, as anybody from like that kind of past, you see a band that you really like, and Neurosis and Godflesh are two of my favorites. I'm like, all right, I should get along with this dude, in spite of like seeing a Deftones button or something like that. And hey, I have a lot of respect for the Deftones because at Dia de los Deftones this year, somebody brought a picture of them and put it on the altar.
No way.
Yeah, nobody knows who,
Yeah.
but his picture's there, and people saw it and shared it. I even had friends show it to me that didn't know him. And they were like, they saw my post about Sean, and then they sent me like, "Hey, check this out." And I'm like, "Yeah, we don't know who did it, and whoever did it, that's awesome." And his name popped up. So I met him in 2016. He walks in, and we both look at each other like, yeah, we should know each other. We're also old. How do we not know each other by now? And the weirdest thing was, I saw his set. It was a Woodham set. I just could tell this guy was new, but he had a lot. He's performed. He's played in bands. He's comfortable on stage. That was really the coolest thing. And we got to talking afterwards, and we stayed in touch. And I saw that he was, serious about what he was trying to do with comedy. So I got him on his first showcase, if you want to call it that. It was at the Huddle in Fremont, which is another shithole that we ran. It's now closed, but it survived for a long time, longer than it should have. It should have never made it through the pandemic. That place, it's nicknamed the Puddle, as in the piss puddle. But it was a fun dive bar.
This is the greatest shout outs we ever gave in establishments.
All these workplaces, yeah. Well, I love Woodham's. No, Woodham's is great. Woodham's Lounge is awesome. Shout out to Cunningham, Amanda. But Sean got to do his first showcase there, and I remember I gave him 10 to 12 minutes. He had a bunch of people show up, and the motherfucker did 8 minutes, and which in comedy terms is like, why didn't you do your time? You had 10 to 12 minutes, but he crushed for his 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And he felt great, and he was paid, accordingly, and it was funny. And then I said, yeah, and guess what? You'll be able to do this yourself. Like, I'm just showing you early on, you have experience, you'll be able to do this yourself. And that's
his own show.
Yeah, and so I very quickly was like, I wanted him to build him up to like kind of be doing exactly what I was doing, because I right away I felt like he was like a brother, like we've known each other, because we've had similar experiences. And even one of his bands, Hellbeard, was started. It was a different name, but it started with one of my cousins, Danny Trevino. So one of the guys in this band was Joe, who I knew because Joe used to run a skate shop in Livermore with his older brother Tony Trevino, who's also my cousin. So it was weird. We had all these connections.
I remember the first time. So I didn't meet him in person. I met him through Facebook, and then someone, I forgot who told me you should book this guy. He's good. I booked him for that show at the Bridge Art Space that I used to do, which I think you were there, right? Yeah, you came to Bridge Art Space.
All of us were there, or me and him.
Oh, yeah.
I was there too, apparently.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
You did it twice.
Yeah.
And I remember he was sitting there, and one of my buddies that knows you saw him say, "Whoa, Amin Day let himself go."
Yeah.
Oh no!
The thing was once he got involved in comedy. Yeah, that's when I got to see who was stupid and who wasn't. No offense, Chris. Chris never met me.
I was waiting.
Chris never met me. No, Chris never met me yet. He met Sean first, but thought it was me and Dave. That's an honest mistake. Because if you haven't met me and you've seen Sean, then you might confuse the two.
Where was this?
I forget where it was. But it was funny though.
You said it was Uriah's show.
Well, I met you at Uriah's.
Oh, you met me at Uriah's.
I met you
show.
at the
But you thought you saw him somewhere.
I thought I saw him somewhere
That's
else.
right.
It might have been Tommy's.
Okay, yeah, Tommy T's.
Yeah.
That's where he would go there. But yeah, so he once he started popping around, one of the things that he loved the most, because it bummed me out all the time, was anybody who would think he was me, and especially after they had already met me.
Yeah,
and I'm starting to look more like him, because I mean, over the years.
To be honest, I don't see it at all. I mean,
I can't.
It almost seems like a hate crime, to be honest.
I can't.
And I don't know in which direction, but I'm just saying, you don't look that much alike.
No, here's the thing: is when I see side by side pictures, there's times because in 2016 I was offended, because I'm aging terribly. I'm 47 now. The double chin is really fully in. Like I've shaved to like where I don't have the double or don't have any stubble on here, and I'm like, oh no, I need the beard. It's.
I want to ask each one of you guys, what's your best memory you have with Sean? And I know you have heard a lot of good stuff on the day of the memorial, but I just kind of want to, whoever wants to start.
I have two.
Okay.
I can't just give you one.
Yeah.
The one I shared at the memorial, which was right after I met him, he was telling me that, he plays in this band. And I went to concerts in my 20s. That's all I did. I just went. And I moved up here, didn't know a lot of people. He was playing at midnight in Redwood City. So I went up to see Zed. I was the only comic who showed up to support him. And instead of thanking me for coming, he made fun of the fact that I came alone. That's classic Sean. That is just, and I had to laugh. I had to laugh because you know what? You're right. Brutal. But more recently, I have a 12-year-old daughter, and for last Christmas, not this, maybe it was the most recent one, all she wanted was to have her room painted. Okay. So we got a quote, and someone quoted us like $1,500 to paint her room. Wow. And the bathroom next door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds crazy. I'd seen Sean had done good work. Yeah. So I called him out. He said, yeah, I'll do it for $850, all things included. Wow. Great. But he was busy. It was going to be 2 weeks. So to a 12-year-old, 2 weeks is like a year. Yeah. But we waited. And then the day before, he goes, sorry, man, I got COVID. All right, what can you do? So we pushed it out 3 weeks more because I knew if I did it, I was going to F it up.
Yeah.
So we pushed it out 3 weeks more. And then the night before, he calls up. He goes, hey, man, you know what? My other job's taking me too long. It's going to be another 6 or 7 days. Long story short, I ended up painting that room the next day, and I effed it up.
You can say fuck.
You can say it.
Yeah, you can say fuck.
Well, I am the Panera Bread of comedy.
Oh, my God.
You can say it.
Clean show, Eric.
But again, I signed a release. I don't know where this is going. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know how they're going to edit this to make you look bad.
Right on.
Right.
So you painted it yourself?
Yeah.
And I effed it up.
Oh, yeah.
You should see the lines on the ceiling and the wall. Anyways, I tried not to hold a grudge against him. He tried not to hold a grudge against me. We're still working together, up until right till the end. But just classic Sean. Just couldn't get out of his own way. Like, don't take the job if you've got
he did
whatever.
That. Well, no, he did.
Yeah.
Because he was a painter. He's in several bands.
Yep.
And comedy.
Comedy was, there was a time when comedy was kind of at the forefront of when he wanted to get it. Once he kind of started doing consistently, that's when he would start to kind of take his foot off the pedal a little bit. And then that's when I would start having conversations of like, I don't know why, I'm not doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, that's because you're doing comedy like 3 times a month. Like it's not something. It's something it's like going to the gym and like, okay, so now you got your 6-pack, and then you're like, you just think it stays there. It doesn't. No, you have to keep working at it. But it became like a consistent thing for him to do for fun, as he would say. And I remember he said this on your show, and this was one of our fundamental differences. He's like, I don't care. No, because I'm up there. I don't give a fuck whether you laugh or whether you don't. I'm like, you kind of do. We all kind of do. That's part of it's part of this. It's part of comedy. It's like nobody goes up there and wants to eat fat shit, putting all of that energy that you put into, like, and then the fucking and my balls, and like, you're not trying to put all that energy in there to get nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cop out. And I said, you have to care. Now, once you do start to learn to care, you'll start to know when to not give a fucking shit. But fundamentally, he goes, no, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, dude, this is why you like the Deftones, man. I'm not like, you don't understand. Chino can't sing. That's bottom line.
That's true.
So, Sarah.
Well, speaking of him being a painter of sorts, he painted my parents' house.
Damn.
The outside and the inside.
He showed up for this gig.
He showed up for that, so. But there was, when I was still living with my parents, after, I decided to go to theater school instead of a real school and getting like a real job, I'm going to move back home because all I learned how to do was sing out of my nose, like I'm on Broadway. So I was getting ready to go to work. I took a shower. I was going to the Keurig, the easiest way to make coffee.
Yeah.
And it was just being a fucking bitch. And it just wasn't like making coffee. And I'm standing there just cussing out the Keurig. And I didn't know Sean was already there. And he like literally just like, I turned around and I finally had my cup of coffee. And he just had this look on his face like, having a morning. He's like, yeah. He's like, it's 12 p.m. I was like, thank you, Sean, thank you. I just went about my day, but that was one of the funniest moments, I think, because I was being a little brat, I was just like, I want my coffee now, like.
So for you, he was like an older brother.
Well, I have an older brother, and I guess they're similar. Sean's nicer to me. No, I'm just kidding. I saw Sean more than my own brother. No, but there were just so many moments where I would just be talking shit about something or like muttering to myself, and Sean would be the only person who would hear the weird things I was saying, or like if I tripped over something, he was the person that saw me do it and no one else did.
Right,
it was always that, but like
like an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
That everybody can see.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, and I've always kind of identified with like older, short, pudgy white men. I mean, like I do Danny DeVito cosplay as much as possible, and Sean Boyles is to Danny DeVito. It's a.
He's the Danny DeVito of metal.
Fuck that metal Viking shit. He's the Danny DeVito of metal, motherfucker.
Okay. I already have the theory on how that happened.
That was like something.
All it was
a plan he had.
God bless her. All that happened when Sean died, and this is where Facebook, causes all, it's the news, it's all this stuff. When the posts were being made the very day after people were learning, one particular comic, it's not like offensive or nothing. Wendy Lewis, she made a post about Sean, and in it she referred to him as our heavy metal Viking.
Oh, that's cute.
That was where I think when people saw the post,
they thought that was his.
They saw that, and then people like one video was made by the end of the day that was where Sean Boyles or the Viking of heavy metal. Like just hearing this dude say it by the end of the day, as if it was a thing, and then in the news, and then it was in an article in the next day in some online article, and I'm like, who the fuck? I'm like, this can't just be from Wendy Lewis. And I look, And I'm like, she's the only one who said it. Somebody saw this and just ran with it. Like they didn't. That's
kind of awesome.
Yeah, not really. I mean,
what do you want people to call you after you die? What do you want to be referred to as?
That's just dead. Like, just, you know, he's not like in a bad way. I'm just saying, no, more or less, because it's not Viking. I said, I joked after I said, if he's anything, he's heavy metal Mother Teresa. Because as all of the posts pointed out, Sean was one of these people that you saw through the post, through the GoFundMe that was put up, and I said in record time they were going to achieve their goal. They kept raising it. I think he's getting like some. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's strippers at his goddamn funeral based on how much this is costing. It should. But they raised over 20 grand within less than 24 hours.
Yeah, that was
and which I knew was possible. And he has an incredible, like, just reach of people from his experience in music. There's so many people that I've met who I was surprised that they knew Sean. It was surprised knowing that his connections went so far, and just with the bands that he played in. Because the bands that are most known that he played in the 90s were Lickisto, which I remember seeing their stickers all over. And I remember I remember looking at it and being like, I couldn't figure out that it was Lickisto. And I'm like, wait, and then when I saw what the band was, I was like, and I'm thinking, I still couldn't figure it out. And then I found out later, I'm like, oh, you're saying it like slang? Like, really? And you spelled it like that. And this is all long before.
Just so everyone remembers, this is a memorial show.
Yeah, this is shit I told them, man. This is shit that I love. I love
this. This is
this is not hate. I have respect, complete respect, because the other band that he played in was Insolence, who I've met a member of also, the bass player, I believe. He was another white guy with dreads. But they played because I knew his sister, not well, but I met him one time. He was cool. He was like, and of course I roll up to this guy, I had long hair at the time. He's like, kind of look like Manson, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't look like Charles Manson.
Oh no.
I'm never into that kind of shit, and I'm glad. That's the thing, is like, as much as it's a joke. No, as much as it's a joke, one of the things that you say what you really mean. Sean Boyles is one of the best people that I could actually be confused with, because he's one of the people that you roll up and he makes the world a better place.
Definitely.
And the fact that he's passed at 49 sucks, because we don't get to be around him. But I've been thinking a lot about it, and just sort of like, you saw how many people there's gonna be a lot of people at his funeral. You got to see a lot of people at the memorial show that they both were at, and I've been to way too many memorials of people of a variety of ages, and the thing that sucks is, he's gone at 49 for us. However, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be showing up, and like, I've been to memorials where there's like 3 people, because they're old, and you lose ties with people, and just that's how life is. And I don't want to say like, oh, it's a good thing to go out at your peak. No, but it's one of the bittersweet things that I have to look at, and just like his presence when you're cussing out a Keurig, that's Sean in my head. Like, somebody, actually, I've been working with a new comic a lot lately named Sam Borgo, and on the right, he told me this, and it kind of gave me chills, but I could totally see it. Again, like, Eric doesn't see it. He knows me pretty well. He knows Sean pretty well and all that. Sam's new, and he's seen Sean, and he's seen me, but he's never really formally met Sean. I was actually telling Sean in the week leading up, I'm like, these are a couple newer guys that you might want to give a shot at the bistro. And Sam was like, it's kind of weird, Dave. I almost didn't want to tell you, but I looked over, and I couldn't help but see Sean, and I wasn't insulted. It's not now. It's just sort of like, I'm not surprised. I'm like, I'm getting there.
I kind of want to touch on that a little bit, because the other day, I mean, when I found out, I think it was BMO's post that he made.
Brian Moore.
Mm-hmm. And I thought, no way, like, this is bullshit. I don't believe this. So I looked, and I was like, fuck. Well, this is horrible. Like, he had just messaged me, so I mean, that's like, no way. Then I did this once. I didn't want to repeat this stupid mistake. When I found out a homie had been murdered, I texted him, "Are you okay?"
Oh no.
I didn't want to do that, again, because I had already done that. So then I just like looked, and then I think I hit up Jesus Cruz.
Yeah.
He, our mutual friend Aaron, who works as a plumber, had just seen Sean Boyles at a job. So he's like, "No, there's no fucking way. I just saw him at a job. He seemed fine." And then, we thought it was true. And we had just planned on doing the show together. And I don't know where I was going with this. I'm sorry, I forgot. It was rough.
The recent communication that you were having with
it was rough. And then the memorial happened, and I got anxiety that day. I wasn't even planning on going up. Enoch's like, my print.
Enoch will talk anybody into anything. Yeah,
I did it, and it felt great to, and then I started tearing up, and then that whole weekend was a little rough. And then we had that show coming up, and I remember I was grateful that I got to do that show because, and I told you this in the car we were eating in or In and Out. I feel I needed to feel his energy, and you really you guys have similar energy, and
that's why I think that's something that I believe that's a lot why people confuse us. It's not so much what we appear, it's our presence. Eric's still not buying it.
I don't buy it at all. In fact, I would say, the thing about Sean, we talk about someone who had no enemies that everybody loved, but it is so true. And yet he would keep it so real. Like everyone was posting, you wouldn't believe that. I can't give you screenshots of our messages. I've known Dave for 10 years, and we've done 1,000 shows together, but we had our one little period of beef for about 6 months. Sean Boyles was the first person to text me and assure me that it was all Dave's fault, and we just went over point by point. And I promise you, even at the time, I knew he was going to Dave talking about what an a-hole I was.
No, he wasn't.
Well, but I'm just saying that
I've always been
he would love this show because we are telling true stories that made him so memorable. And that's why everyone liked him, because he could relate to everyone.
You could talk shit with him about anything, and that's in a good, healthy way.
And that's the thing that sucks is I met him 2019, and I was starting to, I invited him for my birthday, which wasn't comedy related last year. Just that's how we were getting to that point where he would make fun of me all the time, and it was funny. I loved it. I saw that people were posting their screenshots with Sean
of messages. Yeah.
And I was gonna make one of there's a picture where I have no hair gel, and it's my hair's, and he commented emo primo. Just a bunch of shit like that.
Oh yeah. The thing is again, it's one of those cases where sometimes there are so many people who are hilarious off stage who are not bad on stage.
No, but
Sean was personally fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah,
to bullshit.
And that's the thing that I feel for me, it really sucks, because I was starting to get to know him. Now we're starting to get closer, not just for comedy. And he a few times.
Were you at the hand job stage yet?
With eye contact.
Yeah, I got you. That's good.
He got to the point where he a few times he just came to hang out at shows that he wasn't even booked.
Oh, he would do that. No, that's how I would see him around, and I'd offer him guest sets. So a lot of time he was like, "Oh no." I'm like, "Dude, you're fucking talk about your butthole for 5 minutes. It'll be fun." But he's right. What's funny about that's my favorite thing too that Sean would do is if there was something that happened or a kind of a known thing in the Bay Area that people saw on the Barry Comedy Network or whatever, Sean would hit me up about it almost on the nose at least 2 to 3 months after it happened. It would never be right when it happened. It would always be way delayed. It would just be like, dude, what's up with this or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that was in May, dude. It is now September. That was a big deal before the summer. But no, but it's true. It's funny that you say that about hitting somebody up to see hey, are you okay? Because I've never truly beefed with Sean, and he prided himself on that we always were petty with our joking each other. He would piss me off a lot with his comments because they were almost blatantly stupid. And I would definitely fuck with him back. But then he would again in his I don't care. No, I don't care. And then he would comment a paragraph, and I'm like, that's a paragraph of not caring. That's caring. That's the more words, the more you care. And that was kind of our fundamental kind of thing. But this is the difference between us and how our perspectives, what Eric can see way clearly about us. We had another friend this past year who passed away, Griffin Daly, beloved comic, Bay Area comic. Love him to pieces, and he unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer, and I was one of the people that he told he had health issues and said try not to let people know about it or whatever. But he had to drop off of shows, and I knew it killed him to do that. He didn't want to do that. I actually witnessed his last set at Max on Broadway in Fairfax, and he then announced it, posting on Facebook. Hey, y'all, just to let you know, I'm very sick. I've got cancer, and I probably won't be around much longer. I just want to say, he was basically saying his goodbye. And it was probably one of the coolest things you could do on Facebook, knowing that you're not going to be living much longer. And in the immediate, I want to say, like, even by the end of the day, motherfuckers were saying he was dead.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
I was so confused.
Already
Yeah.
memorializing
I'm still here.
him. And I was watching this. This was all going on while I was going to Montana with Nina G.
Remember, you clarified.
We were doing Comedians with Disabilities Act shows. We had a tour that we were doing through the month of July, and the last leg was in Montana. And this all went down right as we were leaving. Also, simultaneously, Nina G's mom had to go to the hospital just as we were about to take off because she was having health issues. And then so Nina was ready to bail on her trip. She went to go with her mom. Her mom seemed to be settled and okay, so she came back, made it to the plane in time. We got to the layover in Salt Lake City, and she called to check in, and that's when she found out her mom flatlined for 4 minutes, and she was like, I got to go back home. So she basically had this like false start to go do the trip, and then she had to go back home to be with her mom during this period. And another odd coincidence, same day that Sean died, later that day, Nina's mom passed too after all of this, which was kind of almost a saving grace for me and Nina. I'll get back to that later if we come back to it. But Griffin announced his thing, and while that was going on, I'm seeing all these fucking posts. I'm in a state of irritation because it's like, I know Nina is dealing with her family, but I also know that this is a big deal to her that she put a lot of work into. And it's not that I'm like, I'm unfortunately so sociopathic. I'm sitting here thinking like, Nina's of more use with us than back home. Just, I know you need to be with your family, but I'm like, what can you do? Yeah. With, like, you're so helpless. And, but there was, knowing Nina, I'm like, there's no way she can go on this trip and be of sound mind to do it, knowing her. So while this is all going on, I'm seeing all these RIP posts about Griffin, knowing full well he ain't dead yet. Because also I got texts with him. And that's when I was like, I was seeing this, and it was pissing me off by the end of the week. And that's when, and I texted Griffin, and I was like, hey, Griff, are you still with us, man? And he was, I texted him at least like 3 times during that week about it, and he was like, yep, not for much longer though. I'm like, I'm just checking. I'm like, I love you, dude. Every time I'd be like, I love you, dude, and then I posted one of the last messages, and I said, yeah, the obese lady hasn't sung yet, whatever. And because it bothers me when people do that. Yeah. They're so quick to go. It's like, wait until you get confirmation, whatever. But they're eager to display this, to be performative.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not genuine. It's like, I get that comes from like a decent enough place, but the eagerness is where I'm just sort of like, that's part of the culture today. And the thing is I couldn't let it slide.
I didn't want to like.
It's not like I think anything terrible of these people. It's just like, God damn it, I'm seeing all this stupid shit. So I post that. Now, it's people are seeing it. They're like, kind of question, whatever. In the middle of all of this, this motherfucker comments, Dave just has to prove that he's right.
Oh, yeah. Yo,
and oh my fucking God.
I had a weird moment right now because I laughed and turned, and I feel like he's right.
That's why I was so glad he's on there. That's his fucking face. Like, and I'm like, this motherfucker had to pick this moment to do what he does best, which is have the dumbest line pissing me off. And it's like, and again, it's fundamental perspective of what I'm like. I'm not having to prove that I'm right. I'm having to tell everybody else that they're fucking wrong. That's our difference of opinion. It's like, we're both right.
Yeah.
But it's how I see it and how he sees it. Yeah. And I saw 4 laughs on that motherfucker. And I unfriended every one of those. That's right. I know. I was. I actually added one back. I think Mel Michelle I added back because I told her what happened. She didn't even notice. And I think Rick Storr still hasn't noticed yet, or if he has, he hasn't said anything. And I forget. There was another one. There was some dipshit who doesn't even do comedy anymore. He was a laugh on it. And Sean, and I unfriended Sean because I was like, I didn't block him, but I unfriended him, and I booted him off my IG because I knew he would notice eventually. Yeah. And it took him a couple months to notice because again, he's fucking slow. And he ended up messaging me like a couple. He goes, "Hey, did you unfriend me?" And I was like, yeah.
That's what I love. You guys had a very husband and wife relationship.
No, it wasn't husband and wife.
That's what he said.
Yeah, husband and wife. No, it's brothers. All
but
right?
It's husband and husband.
Yeah.
It's 2023. What the fuck,
exactly.
you guys? Let's be. Let's get woke.
Or wife and wife, really. I mean, really, they're both being bitchy.
Why not?
But the fact being that did you unfriend me? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I did. Took you this long to figure that out? And he was like, why? I'm like, because I said you hit me up at a point. Like, this is exactly what happened. This is the post that you commented on and why. And I'm like, I'm in a fucking fit of like, I'm like, I don't even want you to comment. You're on timeout for a while. Sometimes I block motherfuckers on timeout. Sometimes Eric knows. And sometimes it's just unfriend. It's just because if you're unfriended on my page, you can't comment on my posts. Yeah. You can comment on other shit I'm tagged on or whatever. Go ahead, talk the shit you want. But, it was just to send a message of like yeah, let's see if you know it. And he did, and I told him exactly why, and he was like, yeah, I prided myself on never being unfriended. I'm like, well, that streak's over, I'm like, sorry, man. I'm like, Nina G's the only one who holds the record now. And Nina G and Frida Sierra, I think they're the two that yeah.
You've never unfriended me, have you?
No, not you. I don't. Maybe I did from like when I was paranoid and on drugs back in the day. I don't know. Maybe. But never since knowing you. Okay, cool, cool. So and Chris too.
Yeah, well, that's what's nice.
Yeah. Sarah not either. I mean, I can't with Sarah. Sarah, I adore. So
what I do like is that the last. I mean, on like IG, I didn't get to reply to him the last time.
Mm-hmm.
But the last time I did see him, it was hugs and I love yous. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that that's my last actual memory that I have because, it was just like a week before it happened that I got to see him. And we planned to do that show that I told you about. And I think about that more now. I'll be honest. One of my uncle's death in 2019, who was like a grandfather to me, he called me by accident. He had cancer. He had a tumor in his neck that was cutting off his circulation, something. So it got really bad, and then it spread throughout his whole body. And he was not doing well at this point, and he was in his late 70s. And he called me by accident one day. He was losing his vision because the cancer spread everywhere. And he meant to call his daughter. This was like a day before he passed, and I remember I had this urge to tell him, "Hey, I love you," and I didn't get to say it, and that kind of it stays with me. So now it might sound corny, but to my buddies, I did this to you the other day. Yeah. I always say I love you to everybody, and that. I feel like I got to give him a good hug. Yeah. We had this thing where I told him I'm gonna get you close to your Chicano roots. Because he's half Chicano. So
no, he said this. My favorite thing that he said on that podcast was he opened with, "This is the most beaner-fied podcast in the Bay Area."
I made a clip of that.
I know. I saw. I was like, I'm like, because he's not wrong.
The last time I saw him, I told him, hey, I'm gonna turn you into the Chicano you were born, homie. And then he was like, what the
He's from Hayward.
I know.
Man. Yeah.
And we shook hands.
He eats at La Piñata.
We shook hands and I said, Vatos Locos forever. And he said, yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah, man.
And that was our last goodbye.
Dude. Yeah. No, here's some funny, again, in that my almost response being a smart ass to him, and I'm kind of glad I didn't comment this. but I would have commented to him. But instead, I just deleted his comment and unfriended. But I wanted to say, like, I'd have no problem saying you were dead, Sean. And that would have been the worst comment to make.
That would have not aged well.
No.
In retrospect, yeah.
But there is a comment that is totally in jest on the Vinny's Bar and Grill post from the day before, because me and his good buddy Mark Aceves from Zed, we were having fun roasting this photo. This photo, which I love. I love this photo of it's from one of his Lickisto or Insolence band photos, and I'm just looking at him, just like the pudgy suicidal tendencies look that he's got with the hat and the bandana but it's the handlebar mustache or the chops and the mustache that do it for me. I'm just like, oh, look at that. And so we were roasting him with like names and all that, and Mark couldn't figure out why Sean wasn't responding, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's my post. He's not looking, he's not stalking this. He'll find it 3 months later. And he ended up tagging him, and then so Sean's like, oh yeah, I see this and whatever. And then he like came back with some like, I'm not even trying comebacks. And he said one comment that I couldn't quite understand, and my last comment on that is like, Sean, are you having a stroke? And I saw that later, and I'm like, oh my fucking god. I left it there just in case anybody wants to see it or whatever. It's a terrible last line to leave with somebody, but it wasn't a stroke that he had. It was an aneurysm, so there you go.
Completely different.
Yeah,
totally different.
Yeah, and this is terrible gallows humor that I have, that I could laugh about shit like this.
Yeah, and he would laugh.
He would be laughing.
Same with that picture I made.
Yeah.
And I sent to you, and I never posted it. I never posted it just because I didn't want to, But I took a picture of Dave, and I put R.I.P. Sean Boyles.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
oh my god, it was so good.
I sent it to like few friends just because I wasn't going to post it. I was like, Sean would laugh.
Oh, he laughed his ass. And there's two posts that I found there's two posts by people that when I read their memorial to him, I'm like, God damn it, they think I'm dead. Like, I'm sure they think that's me. Because they haven't been around in a while, and I'm like, I never saw them cross paths with Sean, or I don't know how well they knew Sean, and everything they described about Sean is pretty accurate to me.
They're gonna be blown away when they see you walking around.
No, that's what I'm looking forward to, possibly like down the road when somebody's like, oh my God, oh fuck, I thought the wrong person died, because I actually did this to somebody.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Paul Doyle who's a comic out of Sacramento who I thought died because I thought it was a guy named Paul Spink who's actually lives in Reno. And when I saw Paul Spink, he's a guy that I think he died of cancer or something fairly recently, and I thought that was Paul Doyle, only like aged like by a number of years. And I'm like, oh, and I even did an R.I.P. post. Yeah, I knew him back when he was living in the Bay or whatever, and I'm sure some people were completely confused by that post, because then outside the punchline not too long ago, I see Paul Doyle, and I'm looking at him, and he looks the same, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, I thought somebody that died was you. Yeah. It was a great relief. It was a great relief to find out that it wasn't, that he didn't die.
That happened to me with a guy. Okay, so I found out he died, right? And I was like, wait, I thought he died 4 years ago. And it was like, no, that was this other guy, Rashad. I'm like, that's where I grew up with. And I was like, oh, so he just died. Yeah, I was like, oh, well, I already moved on.
Yeah, I know.
That's the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
You were thinking of Nelson Mandela the whole time. Actually, that's what it is.
Do you guys remember your last time you got to see him, or the last things you said to him?
No, I don't, honestly. No, because I've been busy.
She's been
a
working
boss
a lot.
babe,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But every time I did see Sean, it was, you spend like 10, 15 minutes just teasing each other, talking shit to each other. But you always, like, it always ends positively. It always ends, like, with him telling you, like, hey, keep your head up, or something, something from a Tupac song or something, you know what I mean? No, but I used to just drop in at the bistro at his shows, and one of the last times I went, he was having a rough time around that time.
You were there for the firemen?
Yeah,
tell that story.
The drunk firefighters. There was
Corday just shared it. We're gonna add it to the end of this.
Oh, you're gonna do that? Oh, great.
Yeah,
but
it was crazy. There's a bug right here.
That's
you know,
Sean. That's Sean in bug form, right there. Tell it.
Jesus, yeah, no.
Yeah, tell us your side. 'Cause
There
I
was
heard 4 days.
there was a Warriors game on, and Sean did an announcement before the show even started of like, hey, you know, there's a sport event tonight, and if you want to watch that, there are plenty of other bars you could go to. You can hang out, you can stay here, you can drink, watch the show, but you know, we're gonna be turning the TVs off, and this just incensed these 3 firefighters who, you know, should be focused on saving lives and being American heroes, but instead they want to just get wasted and heckle a bunch of people who are like me, talking about my butthole, Kanye West's butthole, my cat's butthole. I've got a whole medley of butthole jokes I need to get to.
Yeah.
And there's a guy with a handlebar mustache looking like a Proud Boy, being super disrespectful the whole time. I mean, there were, I think, comments where Sean was like, all right, guys, just a reminder, if, you know, you don't want to watch the show, that's great. You can go outside and talk, but, you know, give your attention to the comedians on the stage. They work hard, blah, blah, blah. And then one of the guys was just like, we would pay attention if they were funny.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think I was the only person that had got up. And I was just like, but then I was just like, it's because I'm a woman. It's not because I'm not funny, you know, it's because I'm a lady. But then, you know, the next comedian went up. It was Corday. And they really would just not stop when he was up there, and it got to the point where Sean got up, turned around, and just started like yelling at these dudes. There was this older white lady with a little tiny dog, and her dog was freaking out, and I'm like, you know me, I'm just like, somebody save the dog, you know. I was like,
she works at for pet.
Yeah, I was like, stop. And but
help her,
you know, and then the old white lady started yelling at Sean. Then she was yelling at the firefighters. She was just like, both of you need to stop. Like, it got very like oddly Hayward in a way where it was just like, I don't know. And then the cops showed up at some point, but Avery Harmon was there too. And you know, the beautiful Muslim man he is, he's just trying to like calm everyone down, have a peaceful resolve. One of the firefighter guys starts talking to me out of nowhere, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just, my mom and dad were there, and my mom was just like,
I'm sorry, I was one of the people that you said was unfunny.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Why
this was so there were 3 guys, and this was the guy that kind of was sitting there almost like
being cool, almost?
Just a little bit mortified, but also not backing his friends. It was very like, he didn't know where he stood.
He was wishy-washy.
Yeah,
he was not picking a side.
He was not. He was flip-flopping.
Yeah.
He was flip-flopping.
The place was burning, and he didn't want to help.
Yeah. And then at one point, he was just like, I don't know why my friend's being, you know, such an asshole. You know, I told them we should probably leave. I was like, you guys should just probably leave right now. Just leave right now, you know? And then he was like, and this lady's dog is scared. I'm like, don't try to win me over. No, that didn't happen. But no, it got really heated to the point where like my little tiny mom is sitting there, and she was just like, I didn't want you talking to that man. I'm like, I'm trying to diffuse. I'm customer service mode. But Sean really, I don't think he would have responded that way if he wasn't already agitated at a couple of other things in that time period. Some things were going on where he was pretty pissed off about a couple of things. Personal life, yeah. And I mean, I've never seen him be angry or like anything. Like, they got in each other's faces.
He was ready to
fucking throw down, and I was just like,
lose, because he said I was gonna get my ass kicked, no doubt.
3 firefighters. Yeah.
If I was ever in a street fight, I would want Sean Boyles.
No, Sean will fight. I told him, because he told me about it.
I was ready too. I had a chair. I was gonna be that girl.
He told me about it.
Sit and watch.
Yeah, so I can sit and watch. Yeah.
I told him I had a similar incident at a DRI High on Fire show at the Maritime Hall years ago, when a friend of mine did something real stupid, and there were these 2 or 3 military dudes that were trying to pick fights and pick on people in the mosh pit, and they were kind of ruining the mosh pit. I saw them earlier, and then one of my friends came back from getting a beer, and I see them trailing him all the way back. We're standing in the back, and the littlest one grabs him by the face, and when he does that, he knocked over my beer and he spilled my beer. And he didn't. Little did I know at the time.
Not sober mean day.
No, I'm a rage. I'm very much a very petty alcoholic addict. And that's when I'm like, you make me drop my beer. I knocked his hand off, and I said, but I was more pissed, kind of like the way he was, about what they were doing. I'm like, they didn't belong there.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I told him. I said, dude, I don't know why you're here causing problems. You just spilled my fucking beer. You're trying to pick fights in the pit. You don't belong here. You should leave. And I was just saying it, and these 3 guys would have whooped my ass. Yeah. But I just told them flat out facts. I'm like, you have no business being here. We're here because we're about the music. You're fucking posers. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
No, but I do got to take off. It was good to see you guys and hear your
Good to see you,
stories.
man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you too, man.
It was good.
Cut your hair. Cut the hair, man.
Fuck no.
Tell him, dude.
I've been working on
Oh my
this.
goodness.
It's working out for me.
Dude.
He just got a blowout.
Meaningful Dave.
But no, so I was telling him, I said, I've been in that same situation. That was something I totally exactly.
And the firefighter that started all of this was also the tiniest little guy.
He was the little tiny guy. It's always the little ones.
Yeah, he had so much. I get that because I'm of short stature, and I feel like I'm huge. So I get that he would just had a lot of pent up energy and aggression because
it's just knowing that it's like, I don't care. I'll get my ass kicked, but this needs to be stated that you're being fucking shitty, and we don't like it, and you're doing it unnecessarily, and so that's where we kind of had that in common. My last memory of him in person is seeing him at the Sofa Street Fair, because I went to go see his band Hazards play. It was one of their shows without
San Jose, right?
It's in San Jose, the Sofa Street Fair. They do shows on the street, and his band was playing, and Deathgrave, who I'm friends with some of them. So I wanted to go check it out, and I got there early. And he was there early, and we got to hang out a little bit, and just talking to him. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye in person, but I saw his band, and it's not the thing about it. Like you were saying, Sean was one of those people. I have no problem. We always, when we would say goodbye, it was always love you, bro.
Yeah.
It was common thing, and that's kind of one of the takeaways that I have been doing lately, is letting people know that, like, hey, I like people that I also, I'm friends with a guy that I used to kind of not be friends with back in high school, that I grew up with, but we kind of had a falling out that I let go, and he might have probably crossed paths with Sean back in the 90s. But he's been talking to me a lot lately, him and his family. They live in Spain, and he watches my show in Meaningful Times with Friends, which are old friends of his as well too, but he's kind of scared to like reconnect with them. And I was like, come on, hit us up, it's no problem. And so I talked to him after that, and I was like, dude, I just want to let you know you had a big influence on me with music growing up. I know we had our ups and downs, but I love you, and you're a big part of my life from growing up, and I think it's great that we're able to talk today and letting people know. I love Eric, I love Sarah, I love fucking Phil over here when I cannot forget his name, or I don't remember his name, but I love you, JD, and it's sincere, and that's the thing that's kind of funny about Sean. When we have, he's, again, like you said, doesn't have an enemy. I have enemies. That's another difference. But my enemies, I don't have hate for them. I have fundamental differences of perspective and I truly think that they behave very shitty. Yeah. And I don't abide by it, and I don't like being around it. But I don't wish. I used to wish terrible things, but that's part of what recovery has helped me with. It's part of having friends like Sean, and again, Sean helped me be a better friend, because he was also somebody who helped me understand that just fuck it, let it go. Like, and I would help him. You were asking about, I didn't say what my favorite memory with Sean. I don't have a favorite memory, because my favorite memories are just memories of him, of just being around him, just being, I do have a favorite memory that's more recent. No, because it's something that's more recent, but it's something that he did. This is the kind of friend he is. There was a memorial barbecue that was going to be very lowly attended by my buddy Big Chief, who's a DJ at KZSU, and it was this guy Gilbert, who was a guy in this band called Drums Horse. I played a show with them years ago. I didn't even really know Gilbert. Gilbert was the guy who worked at Streetlight Records in San Jose, probably even maybe crossed paths with Sean back in the day. Yeah. But I wanted to go to the barbecue because some of my friends from my time knew Gilbert, and they were going to be there, and I just wanted to show support because I knew it was going to be kind of a small get together, and it was a good excuse to see some people that I haven't seen. But I planned to come from my house in Fremont, but I was staying in Oakland for that weekend, and the public transportation to get to Redwood City at this park was just ridiculous. It was like going to take 3 to 4 hours going either way. I wouldn't have been able to stay there much more than like a half hour before I'd have to go back in order to go to a show. And so I was like, well, who would want to go to a barbecue in Redwood City? Who's got, the day free or whatever? And it occurred to me, I'm like, because as I'm racking my brain, I'm like, he recently had at the time a separation because he was married, but then he wasn't with his wife anymore. So and not only that, I just was like, Sean might be free. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, what are you doing today? And he goes, well, I had a job, but nothing, it actually fell through. So whatever. I'm like, would you want to go to a barbecue in Palo Alto? Or it was like Redwood City. It's just a memorial for a friend. You might see some people that you know, but it's just free food. I just wanted to come see some friends. I'm gonna get a good excuse to hang out. And I said, I'll give you gas money or whatever and pay the toll. And he was like, yeah, sounds great, whatever. And so I met up with Hayward, and we drove out there and we had a good time. And I'm glad he went because just because I had a buddy to kind of also talk to, because it's like these are old friends that I'm not as close with today, but it was good seeing them. And Sean was there, and yeah, we had a good time. Just he was meeting different people, and there were some people that he knew that they had in common. And we rolled back and Sean will also talk to me about a lot of his personal stuff that as it was going on, both positive and negative. Not always as it was happening, but at times when he needed to talk to somebody. And it always felt good that I was like one of those people that he would reach out to every now and then. And and he's one of the few people that I said, if you need to borrow money, I'm happy to lend you money if need be. He's just one of those guys. And so yeah. That's again, but like I said, that memory just stands out because it's recent. Right, it's just those are my memories of Sean. It's just he's. No,
I noticed that too. For us, that's when our friendship changed because he was public about he made it. I believe
when he let everybody know he was getting a divorce.
Yeah. He was public about that. And,
yeah.
I remember I reached out to him and just said, hey man, if you ever need to talk. That's when our friendship changed.
Yeah,
like we went just from seeing each other at comedy shows, roasting each other, to the last time we saw each other, we talked about personal stuff more than just because at the time I was going through stuff and I was kind of just talking to him about it. He's like, yeah, well, that.
He was one of those people for almost every. If you like, there's so many people that he was that person.
Yeah.
That somebody would talk to when they needed to, like he would reach out to them or they would reach out to him, and he would help lighten the load.
Yeah.
Just being a friend, and that's what I and you'll see it, and you see it in the people that come out. You see in the people that you just saw it in just the response to.
That's what I mean. Like he had a very older brother vibe about him.
Brother, father figure, grandfather figure.
Grandfather figure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, we're
at the time.
We're at the time. Yeah. I just want to before open it up to you guys. Any last thoughts you want to share? Anything that I may have missed?
Sean hated when my boyfriend Nate Spears played any instrument at any comedy show.
Yeah.
And then one night Nate broke his ukulele in half. And the first thing I said was, "Are you okay?" And then the second thing I said was, "You need to text Sean right now that you broke your fucking ukulele because he's gonna love it. He's gonna think this is the best thing ever." And immediately Sean texted back just like, "Ha ha ha! I'll never have to hear you play it again." Like it was a beautiful moment. And Nate still hasn't replaced the ukulele.
It's the funny thing about it. We would have conversations about your boyfriend. And there were conversations of when he was new, and then when also getting to know Nate and seeing Nate, kind of grow along. And I was one of the people that he would be like, "What's your experience with Nate Spears?" And that's kind of again the thing. And we love Nate. We do love Nate.
Yeah, I love Nate.
But Nate has his quirks, and we got to share our notes on that. But that's
notes.
Our notes. Yeah, we compare.
I see you and Sean just putting your little glasses on.
Oh yeah.
The pen from behind your ear. Leather bound notebook.
It's just it's no in our local comedy scene. But that's what everybody, like I said, the people that there's a lot of people that I could have invited to want to who would wanted to be here to talk about it. Yeah. But again, having two people that haven't been on the Voice Party,
yes,
which was great, but every one of these people that have been on the Voice Party or whatever, they've said similar things where it's like Sean was the guy that you could talk to and talk shit about everybody in that way that wasn't like, it's like you could talk friendly, fun shit.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't fuck this person.
No,
fuck
it wasn't
and
hateful.
all that. No.
Yeah.
I'm hateful.
Yeah. Right.
That's, again, a fundamental difference.
Yeah.
But Sean helps me, again, being in recovery and all that. It's because I was really just being hateful to make him laugh. Yeah. And I love making him laugh. And I'm going to miss him laughing.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to say the last time I saw Sean was 4 days before he had done my show. It was uneventful, but I was there that night with the firemen at the bistro.
You were.
And Sarah's not kidding. He was as aggravated before this started. It was the first time he had not put himself on the lineup. Mm-hmm. He was not in a place to do comedy or be happy. And this was just kindling, and maybe it was cathartic for him to just get it out. But when I saw him 4 days before he passed, I'd never seen him looking that good. He had probably lost 30 pounds.
Yeah.
He was booked every night of the week, either drumming or comedy. He was in such a good place, and it was an uneventful night. He did his set. My last memory was talking with him and the headliner just about comedy in general. And then I Venmo'd him $40 for his appearance, and if I'd have just said I'll pay you in a week, I'd still have that $40.
That's thank you, Eric. That's
it's bittersweet, but like Dave, I'm gonna miss the guy. Great guy.
I sent my Venmo way ahead of time for the funeral.
That was my opening line of my memorial, because he had to leave. The last show he did was guest hosting Vinny's Bar and Grill on October 16th, and here's Sean's texts were. Dude, I've never seen Vinny's be this good. His last show hosting and the lineup, he said, this was the best I've ever seen Vinny's. And I said, I'm glad. I was really happy for it. Right. So he had a great last experience, and I paid him they did very well tips wise. All the comics got paid well or decently for Vinny's. Vinny's, they got top dollar for Vinny's. but he got what was left over, and he did really well. And then the motherfucker is dead, and I was like, well, I hope they raid his pockets and get that and contribute that to the GoFundMe that's eventually going to come about. So, but yeah, it was funny. That's comedians. We go right to that.
I got something. I don't know. I'm probably not allowed to play this.
What?
But this is a voicemail he left.
Please do.
He and I had a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And at that time, our mutual friend had just lost her dad.
Oh, wow.
And it was a friend that Sean met through me, and they became really good friends. And this is a voicemail he left her the day before he died. I'll probably have to ask for permission to play it on I'm
sure it's fine.
You guys want to listen to it?
Yes, please do.
You're probably being responsible and going to sleep at a decent time. I apologize for calling late. I hope you're well. I don't like hearing that you're crying. That's not good. Unless you need it, then cry away. I hope to talk to you soon. I miss you. And, hey, you're okay, kid. I want to hear about this new job and even the old job. I only got little pieces of it. I'll talk to you soon. Be well.
When I first heard that, I heard it the day he passed. I was with his friend, and we were both crying. And when he said, "Hey, go crazy," it just felt like he was talking to us right then and there.
No shit.
And
man, this is the first I've teared up about it, man. Yeah. Thanks. No, I'm not being sarcastic either, man. I needed to cry about it. I'm gonna be crying my ass off this Thursday at the fucking memorial. I've been more bothered that I haven't cried about it yet. So.
I mean, that's how I felt after the bistro show, because I was like using that kind of as an excuse to not have to like feel or think about anything or like process anything, because I was like, well, we still have a job to do,
right,
so like let's do it. And then after that, I think it was it all started to come together. Talking to Serena Gamboa a little bit. She was saying, she was like, I can feel things and hear things, and like exactly the thing of like he always called us kid and was always like, like, you're okay, kid, always. So like hearing him say that on a voicemail just kind of like what is that? The Japanese shit where they like stab themselves? Yeah, that's what that. And bringing up Japanese shit around Sean, he loved Japanese shit.
I want to say this on behalf of Mike Bucci, because he didn't get to post this because he's a city councilman and he wanted to post this, but he knew that the city councilman side would misunderstand this. But he goes, "I'm going to watch pixelated porn in honor of Sean Boyles," and that's
thank you guys again for coming out.
Thank you, Jake.
Sharing. Happy to maybe every March 18th we could do a memorial show for him in tribute of our home.
Well, there will be always a tribute every first Thursday.
I mean,
at
to
the
release
bistro.
on his episode, on his birthday.
Oh, totally. If you want to. I mean, that's don't worry, people die and you forget them. No.
At least 2 more years. No.
But every month the Boyles Bistro Blowout carries on. Sarah, myself, Kevin, the sound guy, we have a cutout of Sean that will be present at every show. He will always be there so long as there's a show there, and we'll put it by any firemen that walk into the place and attempt to
put a little fire hat on.
That's
him.
right,
Like fireman's hat on him.
But at the bistro in Hayward.
I'm glad you shared it. So originally when he first passed, he put together that clip of all these memories that we have with Sean, and I hesitated to post it just because I don't want people to think I'm advertising my fucking podcast just to get like, hey, you want to?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't want anybody to think you're advertising your podcast.
No, but I mean by posting it like right as he died, People reached out to me that
you doing it versus one video I don't know where it came from that referred to him as the heavy metal Viking and an article that both I didn't know where.
So once I shared
from.
it, his people that weren't comedy reached out, said that they liked hearing it because it sounds like this is what he this is and we have those 2 episodes that kind of highlight him.
Those are great hearing him talk. If you want to hear how we interact, we did an episode both of In the Meantime with me and Dave during the pandemic where we talked, and we also recorded it for the Sean Boyles podcast, which is still available if you like to listen to his voice. They're still up. Look up the Sean Boyles podcast. You can find it. He's got tons of podcasts that I will only listen to now, and I used to give him so much shit for it. But they're and they're funny because his friends loved him too. They loved his rants and all that stuff. I'm surprised he didn't have more material based on a lot of those rants. But he had those podcasts, and so I have stuff to remember my friend. I have a lot of stuff that I've made with friends that have passed that I'm grateful that I have, and he's definitely one of them. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into The Voice Party. That's been our podcast.